What is going on, YouTube fam? Welcome to the Jonathan Dearman Show, the least political show on YouTube. And today, guys, I want to talk to you about Elon Musk acquiring Twitter. Now, there's a whole bunch of things that are going into the practicals on how he's actually attempting to acquire Twitter. And Twitter is pushing back with what's called a poison pill, which is where they essentially dilute the stocks by selling it at a cheaper price if he tries to acquire too much to other shareholders. And so there's this whole process on how he actually is going about acquiring Twitter. Number one, he did get the funding. I think it's for over $46 billion for him to go ahead and move forward with this. And the board obviously has some concerns. But what I actually want to talk about in this video is not the process on how he's going to acquire Twitter or whether or not I even think he will acquire Twitter, although I probably think he will end up being the primary shareholder and even owning Twitter. I think he probably will at this point. But what I actually want to talk about is whether or not I think he should acquire Twitter. Now, everyone has a different opinion on this, but let me just give my opinion. And then, in fact, I'd love to hear all of your opinions at the end in the comments, or you can leave them now if you'd like. Number one, the primary reason why Elon Musk says that he wants to acquire Twitter is because of free speech. Now, he said that he wants to do some other things like add an edit button, which I think as a non-Twitter user, I've never had a Twitter. I currently don't have a Twitter. As a non-Twitter user, I think would be a great idea, essentially where you get to edit the tweets after you post them so you don't have to completely delete and repost if you put the wrong year or the wrong information, and et cetera. But the primary thing he's looking for is what he's expressed is that he wants the platform to be more of an open forum for free speech. Now, I totally agree with that. Twitter has a reputation of leaning more on the censorship side, specifically with regards to conservatives and people that lean on the right. Obviously, the most famous ban they have is of the former President Trump. Now, whether or not you agree with President Trump, to me, it's insane that Twitter would ban the president of the United States from being able to communicate through their platform. That to me is insane. I believe the dictator of Iran is still on there, and many other leaders. I think Vladimir Putin is still on there, or at least Russian leaders are still on there, even though they've invaded Ukraine. But the former president of the United States is not on there because he says a lot of politically incorrect things. I posted a video when they first banned Trump saying that whether or not you agree with Trump, to me, is not the point. Whether or not you think he's too sharp or you think he's too aggressive in what he says, to me, that's not the point. The point is you should allow, especially the former president of the United States, to speak on this platform. So I totally agree with Elon's motive to allow it to be more open with free speech. I understand that there is some speech that is not allowed, primarily starting out with illegal speech or speech where you are directly inciting violence. Like, for instance, if I tweeted and posted, hey, go to this guy's house, here's his address, let's all smash his windows. That is inciting violence, and that is an illegal thing to do. After that, it gets very gray. After that, there's a lot of gray zone where hate speech is given as a reason to censor somebody. The thing that I cannot stand about this idea of censoring hate speech is that somebody at some point has to determine what is hate speech. Is hate speech speech that you disagree with? Is hate speech when somebody says something that's against what you believe? Well, what if you say something against what I believe? Is that now hate speech? And we've gotten to the place where if you say on Twitter or if you say on social media platforms that a man is a man and a man cannot have a baby or get pregnant, that is now considered hate speech because transgender men who are women who identify as being male can get pregnant and can have babies. Biologically, they can because they're actually females who identify as males. The fact that you can't even say those things because those are considered hate speech to me is crazy. So when it comes to speech, I think more speech is better. I think allowing people to speak. Elon Musk, I think, said it in an interview that if it's in a gray zone, let it live and combat it with ideas. Now, I understand this concept of allowing speech that is rude or hateful can be hard for some people to swallow because no reasonable person likes hateful speech, right? No reasonable person likes really harsh, demeaning speech. However, in order to have free speech, you must also be able to accept a level of hate speech. You have to accept some level of people being jerks. So I totally agree with Elon Musk as far as the free speech thing goes. And for those people that are really concerned about all of this power going to one person, I do understand that. But here's why I'm not concerned based on what he's saying. He's not saying the ideas that are being censored are ideas that I agree with. Instead, we should censor the other side's ideas. That's not what he's saying. What he's saying is that the ideas that are being censored should be left up, and the other sides as well. He's not saying that we should switch the censorship to target different people. Instead, he's saying, let's let all speech exist, with the exception of the things, again, that are illegal. And there are some very fringe things that are said that are clearly disgusting or terrible that most people can agree on. But then there's an entire gray zone that Twitter is closing the Overton window on what's acceptable. And he's saying, let's open it back up and let's allow these ideas to be shared and for people to be able to speak freely. I understand it's a private company. I do understand that they have the right to crack down on speech that they don't like. They're not the government, but they're not transparent with how they determine who stays up and who doesn't. So even if you argue that they do have a right as a company to determine their policies, they should at least be transparent about that and admit that they censor certain groups of people or certain thought processes more than others, but they're not. Instead, they want to keep their algorithm secret, and that's another reason why they don't want him to acquire Twitter, is because he's saying he wants the algorithms to be very transparent so that people know what kind of things Twitter looks to censor and doesn't censor. And so the bottom line is, I think this is actually a great thing for Twitter, as long as he sticks to what he says. And I don't agree with Elon Musk on many things, by the way. The major one that he's saying that I do agree with is let people speak. And if people are giving bad ideas and even saying things that are ridiculous and crazy, don't combat them by putting duct tape over their mouth and shutting them down. Combat them with better ideas. Let better ideas beat out bad ideas, not censorship. So overall, in my opinion, I think it's a great thing. I think it's kind of sick in a good way, the way he's come in and the board is scared out of their minds, which I think is kind of pretty cool. But that's my opinion. With all that being said, guys, I would love to hear your guys' opinion. What do you think? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Do you think he's going to stick to what he says, or do you think he's actually going to become like Twitter's dictator and just impose his will on everyone? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments. If you like this video or if you like what I'm trying to do with this channel, leave a like on this. And if you're not subscribed, join the family, guys. We try to be reasonable around here, and we try to be more loyal to principles than political parties. So we'd love to have you a part of the family. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching to the end, and I'll see you guys next time on the Jonathan Dearman Show. Peace out.